Over the past 4 years, I had many spiritual peaks and many spiritual valleys. This summer, knowing what I was going to be facing at the Olympic Games, I really wanted to know and learn in what it meant to grow in God's plan. God did not promise me a gold medal, but he did promise me that whatever did happen at the Olympic Games, he was working it for my good and ultimately for his glory.
May I ask you a question? Could you say the same thing the diver just said? No matter what happens at the Olympics, in your life, at work, with your children, with your health, you can say, this is for my good. God is for me, and he only does good things for me, even when they're hard. Is your doctrine of sovereignty firmly in place? If it is not, I can promise you what the result will be. Anxiety. Just wrote a book about that, Stressed Out, available with a DVD and workbook for Sunday school at Wretched.tv. That we will always be anxious when we fail to remember whatever befalls me is not God doing a smackdown. Now, he might be disciplining us, and it might be painful. It might be difficult going through it, but he does it because he loves us enough to pry the idols out of our hands. Why? Because he wants better things for us. He wants us not to win gold medals. I mean, maybe he does, but it doesn't matter. That's just like compared to, he wants you to look like Jesus Christ. If you cannot say what David Budaya just said, and you're wondering, why am I anxious? Why do I have anxiety? I would like to suggest to you, you get a copy of Stressed Out. I'm sorry, that was off script and that was completely unnecessary. I would suggest that you apply good theology.
Where does Jesus fit into all of this? Christ is the entire reason for the Olympic Games. Before I could truly believe in God's sovereignty over my life, I had to first acknowledge the reason that my existence was for him and from him, and believe and trust in the fact of truth from his word. The Bible is a story about true perfection, Jesus. My responses of anxiety, stress, fear, nervousness, exhaustion over all the things of this world and praise of man are precisely the reason that Jesus was nailed to that cross. He lived a perfect life, and he gave himself up for me so that I could be free from the bondage to exalt myself in those moments.
We would send a copy of Stressed Out, available at Wretched.tv, to David Budaya, but it appears he doesn't need it.
Jesus took the rebellious responses of doubt, fear, and anxiety and absorbed it onto himself to break the chains of my slavery and call him Lord of my life. And ultimately take the focus off of myself and put him on the throne who has redeemed me from eternal destruction.
What do you know? We have a chapter about that in Stressed Out, available at Wretched.tv. We get the point, Friel! You will only have peace when you have peace with God. If you are not in Christ, you are in Adam. If your father is not God, your father is the devil. You are not going to face a smiling God on Judgment Day. You are going to face a furious God on Judgment Day. When you do, you will be standing without an attorney and without excuse as God's gavel of justice is slammed and he pronounces you guilty. And as you stammer, he's going to say, "Depart from me, you worker of iniquity. I never knew you." Welcome to eternal conscious torment. Welcome to hell, where your first day will be miserable, but so will your 100th, so will your 10,000th, so will your 1,000,000th day. Unceasing, unrelenting, eternal conscious torment, which is the right payment that we have earned for ourselves by sinning. That is your eternity if you are not in Christ. But if you are, talk about dodging a bullet here. I'm not going to face the wrath of God. He loves me. He's adopted me. He's justified me. He's going to glorify me. wow, my biggest problem has been solved. That is why your peace or lack thereof is connected and linked with your salvation. If you're not in Christ, be afraid, be worried, be anxious, because you have no hope. But if you've repented and put your trust in Jesus Christ, whatever happens now for the rest of your life, whatever bad, difficult, challenging, frustrating, maybe painful thing happens to you, you, knowing that you have peace with God, can sing along that it is well with my soul. Can you?